What's up YouTube? Welcome back to the Cutlass Board Games channel. We are doing part 2 of our character type tier list series for the game Blood on the Clocktower, a game that we play on this channel quite a bit. Possibly one of the greatest board games of all time. And for this particular installment we are going to be ranking, we're going to be discussing, we're going to be talking about the funnest category of character, the minion. Your job is to create as much chaos as possible, and you don't have the downside of losing the game if you are executed. So let's run through some of the characters. How I have been ranking things so far is kind of how well something is designed. If it has some like obvious flaws in it or like misfunction that people complain about, stuff like the butler, it's a really easy example. It will lose points. Just generally how fun something is. Have I had a lot of fun playing this character? Do I think this is a fun character to play? And how often I see it show up on custom scripts. If something is just like severely underplayed, then that's kind of telling that other storytellers as well also think that this is not a character that either synergies a lot of things or works with the kind of shit they're going to set up, or just is good. I don't know. And our first one is the Assassin. So the Assassin shows up on Bad Moon Rising and lets you wake up and kill one person, even if they would ordinarily not be able to die. I think this is just an okay minion. You get like a one-time thing, and then you're like, I'm done. Okay, you know, that's sick. I randomly killed the guy. A lot of the time when the assassin does fire off, they don't even know what the person is that they targeted. They're just kind of hoping for the best, which is really funny. It would be cool if they could like scout the target, you know. So each night select a player, you learn their character, then you may choose to kill them. Would be kind of cool. But I think it's beatsy. I think it's good. It doesn't show up on a lot of different scripts because its use is minor compared to other things that are more ongoing. I think more ongoing characters are a bit more fun. And it fulfills a very particular niche on Bad Moon Rising, but doesn't show up on a lot of other custom scripts because I think it is maybe a bit too niche. Next is the Baron. Kind of has the same problem. Doesn't show up on a lot of custom scripts because there's a lot of other characters that give +1 outsider, which is strictly better than the Baron's +2 outsiders for game balance reasons. It's easier to stack multiple +1s than have a +2 and it be too many. That said, on Trouble Brewing, the Baron is possibly one of the funnest characters to play because you can do anything and there's nothing negative that could happen to you. Like, your execution is meaningless, your ability does not stop. You have already contributed all of the chaos that you can to the game, and then your job is just to be noisy. It's just to create, you know, extra worlds, create different views, create problems for the good team, which is a lot of fun. But I think it doesn't show up on custom scripts because people prefer interactive evil teams. So not doing anything is fun and fine for Trouble Brewing, because it's, you know, it gives you space, you know, gives you verticality on how crazy you want to get. But a new player shows up and they go, oh, here's my hat, I've done my job, adios, which is fine. Next up is the Boomdandy. Now, here's my hot take. I hate the Boomdandy. The Boomdandy turns a game that goes for an hour and a half into 7 minutes. And I don't like it very much. It's just, I don't know. I feel like it should be a fabled or something like that. I feel like as a minion, the evil team is like, this is our win condition. We need to do this as soon as possible so the good team doesn't have enough time to figure out anything and then not be able to execute the demon. Whereas as a fabled, you're like, game's running kind of long. This game of Bad Moon Rising that has 7 protector roles in it still has 15 people alive on day 7. What if something would happen to take us to final day? Is like exactly what I would want the Boomdandy for. But just having it as a minion, it doesn't fire or it does fire and the game ends super fast. It's just inconsistent for me. I feel like it's trying to create a game state that doesn't match the crunchier, puzzly, solvier kind of vibe that most of the players crave in advanced custom scripts. So unfortunately, Boomdandy gets a low rating from me. Then we're going to see the Cerberus, which I think is an easy A tier. The Cerberus is a great character, especially with the cool jinx with the Goblin, where the Cerberus can make good players mad that they are the Goblin. For the balancing on sex and violets, it makes sense for the Cerberus to only be able to select good players for its targets to be mad as. However, for advanced custom scripts, I don't really see the point of the restriction. You should just be able to make them mad as anything. Oh, what's that? You need to find a reason why you should come out as the demon. Well, there could be a snake charmer on the script. There could be a lunatic on the script. And you're like, well, that's me, guys. I'm this thing. And then finding a reason to, claim those things and do that stuff. I think that's fine. And there's so many great evil characters that you can make somebody mad as, where it actually isn't super detrimental to the good team, but it's just that kind of a goofy chaotic time, which would be fine. I feel like that would be the thing that would put it into S tier for me, but I understand creating that limitation so that it sits on sex and violence, and that is fine. I still think it is one of the greater afflictions that a minion can put upon somebody. Death, I think, is mediocre. Madness, I think, is fantastic. Comparatively. And so I think the Cerberus is an easy A tier. It's just so close to being the greatest. Next is the Devil's Advocate. This is a tough one because I am a DA hater, actually. Let's put it in C tier. So the DA, a really good DA, adds about 3 days to any game, which is really brutal. If the game's already going for an hour and a half, adding an extra 15 minutes and the good team just getting absolutely no traction is really brutal. I think it's fine on Badman Rising because it works really nicely. You can, simulate a T-Lady, you can simulate any kind of projectors, and that's fine, but it's still, I think it's one of those, again, the same as the Assassin, it's just way too niche. But the downside, the Assassin goes, I kill that guy, okay. The DA is alright, plus 5 minutes, plus 5 minutes, plus 5 minutes. And it's just so, it just makes the game drag. It doesn't feel like it accomplishes a thing. Maybe it protects the demon one time and cool, if the ability was literally the first time the demon would be executed, they are not, that would be fine. But the DA just constantly adding time to the game, the more successful they are, without actually adding any other detriment to the good team. The good team's well, we just try again tomorrow because the DA can't pick the same person twice. And that's just plus time. It doesn't actually change anything, So I think that the DA doesn't show up on a lot of scripts unless if they're specifically trying to simulate something like Bad Mid Rising. I think that's why I just C tier. At least the Assassin you can put it. I've seen it on a lot of Typhon scripts. Be okay, that makes sense because Lord of Typhon kind of wants to kill its neighbors to not have a really obvious Lord of Typhon line. And so the Assassin going, well, that's cool. I'll fire off on the first day. We can make him think it's a multi-kill demon or something. I don't know what you guys are putting on these scripts. And then kill the Assassin. And then not much is really lost. But Lord of Typhon still gets to, kind of hide there. Okay, next we have the Evil Twin. Now, I am a big Evil Twin enjoyer. I think this is a great character. I think it is fantastic. Good team can bluff as the Evil Twin pair, right? This is not something you can do with many evil characters. The good team can bluff as an Evil Twin pair to help keep them alive, and then it's really cool. The Evil Twin interaction, I think, works really well and is cool and is fun. However, most players, I think, it has a really high skill ceiling with how the character is supposed to play it. Oftentimes, I see people that have the Evil Twin token try for the first day, maybe second day, to be really convincing that they are the townsfolk, and then kind of give up. And then it's kind of really obvious which one of them is the evil one, and then, it's not that hard. Whereas you just have to really aggressively trying to push for this thing. And it's a bit difficult I guess, I don't know, maybe most players just aren't committing hard enough, or most players just are more passive generally. But you need to be like the Baron, you need to be like really loud. You need to be like trying to dominate the conversation. Like, yeah, this is the information that I got. I'm trying to solve the world. Did you help me? And I just really like the dynamic. I think that the Evil Twin is a great character. I just think that it's underloved. I think it's deeply underloved. It's my hot take. I'm a Evil Twin enjoyer. Next is the Fearmonger. The Fearmonger is such a funny character to me. The Fearmonger, I feel like, I remember playing the Fearmonger in the playtest sessions way back when it was first coined, and basically everyone's asleep and they're chattering along and they're doing stuff, and the storyteller goes, "The Fearmonger has selected a new target," and you go, "Holy shit!" That's horrifying. And I feel like that particular experience hasn't persisted. Like in playing the game online, you ring the gong, it's like, "Dong, hey everyone, Fearmonger's pick someone." It's like not the same. And like the Organ Grinder has kind of that same problem, where a nomination would go through, everyone would kind of talk about it, and the storyteller would go, "All right, now everyone close your eyes," and then everyone in town's like, "Oh shit, it's an Organ Grinder." Whereas now, the vote starts and people have their hand up and there's like just no votes are taken, and everyone's like, "Wait a minute, it's an Organ Grinder game. Oh dang," and you're like, okay. But I still think the Fearmonger is kind of cool. There's like some really interesting plays that you can do with it. We had a game recently where the Fearmonger was bluffing as the Puzzle Master. Puzzle Master guessed someone that was a pretty good candidate for being puzzle drunk, and then selected, basically just like said, "Oh, the person's name that I received was the person that they had fearmongered on the first day and had not moved," and then tried to nominate and get them executed. I'm like, damn, look, that's crazy. That's super, super interesting and super strong. So if you can find something that can just like really pin someone as the demon in some way, like a golem bluff, you're like, "I nominate that guy. They didn't die? Look, I'm the golem. That guy can only specifically be the demon. We have to execute them," you know? Which is kind of cool as well. There's like a lot of good play. I think the Fearmonger is a great character that rewards high level play. I think that's what I like about it the most. I think the Goblin is just insanely fun. It's the easy S tier. I think if I put that anywhere other than S tier, I would get lit on fire in the comment section. But I want to tell you a story, and this is my favorite Stephen Medway story. We're playing in a game. We're sitting next to each other on a big couch, and he's telling me a story about something, like what he did on the weekend or some shit. And he's telling me the story, and the game starts, and the storyteller goes, "Everyone, please close your eyes." And I'm going to close my eyes. He's still chatting. And then he just pauses, like in the first 5 seconds after everyone, he like pauses, and then goes back to telling his story. And I'm like, "What's the chance you just got woken up as a minion?" He's like, "Oh, don't worry about it, I'll explain it in the morning." And I wake up in the first thing in the morning, I'm like, "I'm super convinced that you're evil. What are you going to be able to say?" And you might see the end of this story coming. "What are you going to be able to say that's going to convince me otherwise?" He goes, "Oh, I'm the Goblin, don't worry about it." I'm like, "Oh, shit." But he just had the biggest shit-eating grin on his face, literally like the Goblin icon. He's just like, "I'm the Goblin. Like, what can you... You can't execute me over that. I'm just happy to be very publicly evil in this moment." And I think that the Goblin is a deeply fun character. I'm really happy that it got a release this early on, so that we can goof around with it and we can play with it. And it additionally got the Jinx with the Supernova, so that we can add more goofy antics with the Goblin. Next is the Godfather. I think the Godfather is like it's just a super versatile character. I think it's A tier. I think its fun level is kind of whatever. Like, it's not like, "Oh yeah, I'm the fucking Godfather, let's go." It just does a lot of cool things. It adds an outsider, possibly. It teaches you what outsiders are in play, so you know what bluffs are open, right? If you want to bluff as an outsider, you know from minute 0 what bluffs are open. And if you get the other outsiders executed, you get to kill someone. This is great. This is 3 amazing things, right, for the Godfather to want to be and do. And so I think that it just is just a really good, just a good guy. It does kind of require being on a script that has other reasons for extra deaths at night. But other than that, it's kind of cooking. I think it's a great character. Next is the Harpy. Now, the Harpy's tough, man. I really like what the Harpy does. The Harpy says, you have to be mad that this guy is evil. Great. I think the downside of either one of you might die is kinda underwhelming. I wish it was like dies tonight specifically, or is executed, or something like that. Because kind of confirming that it just is Harpied, I really don't like. I wish the downside was slightly different. But that said, I still think it's very fun. The noise and madness that it does create is very fun. I've seen a lot of great Harpy gameplay recently with the group that we play with. And so I think its fun factor is pretty high. Next is the Marionette S tier. So the Marionette is fun for the storyteller because they get to choose who they afflict with such a condition. The Marionette is fun for the demon because regardless of whether the Marionette is in play, the demon can tell every single person that they are their Marionette. Look, I'm the demon, I'm the Kue Kawatsu, you are my Marionette, I need you to trust me, you're on the evil team. And there's just so many times where people are just so ready to believe that they're a Marionette. I had a game where I was a minion. We had two pairs of evil players with a good player in the middle. And the good player comes to me and goes, am I a Marionette? And I go, yeah, actually, I was meaning to tell you that. And they're like, oh shit, okay, well, I'm this character, this is the information I got. It's bogus, so I totally believe that I'm the Marionette. I'm like, excellent. This is going to be the largest Lord of Typhon line ever, because we just have a good player that thinks that they're evil. And I just think that there's been so many fun stories about how the Marionette has interacted and cool setups that it's enabled. I created a homebrew character, the Maestro, which just says all minions and outsiders are instead marionettes, which is deeply silly and fun. And it's like literally just playing entirely on how good the Marionette is as a character. The best Clocktower characters are ones where you think you are something else, but you are not. It is a very deeply unique mechanic to Blood on the Clocktower, and I think it does really well. But look, I don't think telling you how amazing the Marionette is a hard sell, so let's move on to the Mastermind. The Mastermind is an interesting character. The Mastermind does not show up on a lot of custom scripts. The Mastermind just goes, well, here's your hour-and-a-half game, plus 1 day. It's no matter, just plus 1 day, no matter what. And it's really goofy. I don't know. I think the fact that there's no death that night, sometimes people will go, oh, you know, I just know it's a Mastermind game. Let's go and try and make this happen. And it's hard to, I don't know. I only ever see it perform really well when the demon gets themselves executed on day one. That's like really the only time. And that's a really brutal play pattern to encourage. Imagine you have a magician on the script. The demon goes up to the magician and goes, what's up? What minion are you? And the magician goes, I'm the Mastermind. Let's just get you executed today and we'll win the game. And demon's like, that's a great idea. Thank you, magician. And they go ahead and do it and the game ends. Like, I can just see so many times where it's going to be worse than it is good. And it's the same problem as the Boomdandy, where it will just turn an hour-and-a-half game into a 7-minute game. Which is kind of lame. So I think it kind of rates lowly. I'm starting to notice a pattern where the minions on Bad Moon Rising rate lowly, because Bad Moon Rising is such a high synergy script that a lot of the characters are unique and different. Nearly every other character is like a, hello, I care about receiving information and solving the game. And then all the Bad Moon Rising characters are like, what the fuck is you start knowing? What is information and how do I get some? And then all the characters, you know, are designed to interact with that, and it's like really good for just Bad Moon Rising. Like nearly everywhere else is like really clunky and like doesn't kind of work properly, which is kind of rough. But I think C is fine. I don't think it's as bad as the Boomdandy. Next is the Mezepheles. This is a great character. I'd say this is an S tier character. This is a deeply fun character to play. It being on the script often causes people to be a little bit goofy and say some goofy things. I particularly like it because I created a TeenCville custom script called Codenames, where there's as many characters as possible that receive a word and say a word, and all the words are supposed to share a theme, and so the Mezepheles fits in there really nicely. And every single time it's just like a goofy chaos. Like if I say this word, does someone die? Does somebody learn information about me? Do I turn evil? Whatever the hell the Amnesiac is trying to do to me this game. It's like really silly and fun. I kind of like that. But in like a big serious puzzle solving game, there's just been many times where people have been like, hey, are you the Mezepheles? And I'm like, yeah, look, this is the word. And they don't believe me. And they're like, well, I'll say it and see what happens. And they're like, wait, what? Which is kind of funny. I had a game where I was like, okay, I'm going to 1000 IQ with the Mezepheles. My plan is to wait a couple days. Pick the player that is the greatest chance of solving the game, has most of the information, is going to figure it out, and is going to then become evil and, you know, backpedal really hard, or like just, you know, throw the game away because they're, you know, our greatest enemy, and, you know, turning them evil would be really helpful. We had a game where the puzzle master had a correct puzzle guess, and then I turned them, and then the game ended to a damsel guess on that day before they had a chance to turn evil anyway. So my ability didn't do anything, but I was like, yeah, I have the strategy, I have everything put together, and it didn't quite work out, but I think I was on the right track. It was pretty funny. I did like it a lot. Next is the Organ Grinder. I wish I could split this in two and do like Organ Grinder online versus Organ Grinder in person. Organ Grinder in person is an S. I think this is just fucking fantastic. It's one of those characters that really was designed for in-person play. It's like so simple to like add such a thing, but what it adds to the game is like such a big deal. It's really fun and interactive. And the new change that they made where the Organ Grinder can simulate being dead or, you know, by poisoning themselves is really interesting and very interactive, and I really like that change. Organ Grinder is an easy S. Easy S. Next is the Pit-Hag. I think the Pit-Hag is an interesting character. The Pit-Hag enables some insane shit on the Sex and Violence script. It's the ceiling character, right? Like, it's the more creative and crazy you are, the more insane the Pit-Hag plays can be. My personal favorite is I'm playing a game in person, and my partner at the time is sitting next to me, and she's the demon. Great. I turn to one of my other friends, and I go, you changed character last night. You're now the philosopher, aren't you? And they go, how do you know that? I'm like, I'm the Pit-Hag that did that to you. Here's the plan. You're going to pick the snake charmer, and I'm going to tell you who the demon is tomorrow. And he's like, all right, sick. And then on the next day, sure enough, I was like, look, that's the demon. Pick him tonight. See what happens. He was like, okay. And then this lined up to be the final day, where it was a 4 Alive final day, I think, because it was a Vortex. And so it was my partner who's like, I've just been snake charmed. What the fuck is going on? My friend that I picked to become the demon. He's a Pit-Hag and like one other townsfolk. And one of the townsfolk person is like, what the hell is going on? And then you can imagine my partner at times very angry. He's very angry at me for that. She's like, why? We were going to win anyway. Why did you specifically remove me from the evil team with you? I'm like, gremlin mode. But having, you know, all these insanely options that you can do. My very first time playing the Pit-Hag, I created a juggler on day 2 because I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and that was really funny. Most of the time, I would just see a Pit-Hag just turn townsfolk into outsiders, which I think is kind of lame. It's not very exciting. It's not cooking at all. It's just the most common, easiest choices, I guess. Which is fine, you know, power to you. It removes a good player ability. It's way better than poisoning. I just think it's like just such a fun Chaos character that just has a lot of insane power to it. I think it is S tier. I think it's S tier. Next is the Poisoner. Now, the Poisoner is interesting to me because on something like Trouble Brewing, it is really good. It works really nicely. The evil team gets benefit for how close attention they are paying, how good they are at picking out the person that needs to be poisoned and keeping it in that correct spot. On nearly every other script, every other custom script, the Poisoner is just insanely powerful because you just have no way to track when it hits you. Just have no understanding of, oh, this night's information must have been poisoned, because there's just too much other shit going on and it's just so hard to know what's happening. Or if you've just become poison locked or something like that has happened, it's really rough. Whereas something like the Widow, you're like, okay, this person's poisoned forever, but it doesn't move around. It's always just this one guy. Same with the Puzzle Master. The Poisoner being able to move around, like, if the Widow poisoned player gets executed on the first day, the Widow's like, oh, dang it. On the Poisoner's like, okay, that guy instead. And you're like, well, it's just in play, you know, at the best possible target for the longest possible time, in theory. Especially with something like a Spine or a Widow, which like tells the Poisoner who the targets are, and the Poisoner's like, sick. You're all getting cooked. Which is kind of crazy. And so I think it's like really, really powerful, but I think it's a problematic Joy Exchange character. This is something that we talked about with the Atheist and some of the other characters before on the channel. The example that I use for the Joy Exchange is in Uno when player A plays the skip and skips player B. Player A's joy from performing this thing and hurting player B is minor. You're like, I skip whatever, I'm just getting a card out of my hand. It could just be a number, it really doesn't matter. And then player B goes, I didn't even get to fucking play the game. I'm skipped, I'm doing nothing, I have no choices, I have no way to interact with this. That's great, that's super fun. And so the amount of bad time player B is happening versus the amount of good time player A is happening is inequitable and therefore is unfun. The Poisoner has kind of a similar problem, where the person being poisoned is because they can't figure out that they're being poisoned, and they're just like, well, I just kind of have to trust most of my information. Just has no, access to what's going on. You get to the end of the game, like, hey, you were poison locked, man. And you're like, what the hell the fuck was I supposed to know? That, like, bad experience versus the Poisoner, just being like, oh, yeah, I just picked some people, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, is really inequitable, I think. Is really rough for the poisonee, not the Poisoner. Poisoner just is like, has the generic funness of being an evil character. And so I think it's actually really rough. Because it needs to, like, I don't know, be more present in a way. Maybe the poisoned info given sometimes needs to be like from sort of like a way more obvious, like, hey, today you're poisoned, but tomorrow maybe it's the information. Ooh, you don't know. And so I think this is a C tier character, unfortunately. It works really nicely on Trouble Brewing. I think the balance is fine on Trouble Brewing because it has some pretty powerful information characters that like doesn't super matter too much. If one guy gets poison locked, or if there's like some really goofy moving around poisoning, I think it's fine. I also think storytellers running Trouble Brewing are much more forgiving with the wrong information given because the scope of what you can tell a person is not so insane. Whereas on like some advanced scripts, like the poison savant, giving them the absolute most cooked information of all time, is kind of crazy. So that, I don't know, maybe that's also a hot take. We'll see. You can get angry at me in the comments about it later. Next is the Psychopath. I hate the Psychopath. For two reasons. I very much dislike publicly announced minions. I like minions that make noise, like the Fearmonger, like the Organ Grinder, the Widow. You're like, okay, fuck, this guy's in play, we need to deal with this problem. I don't like a person who goes, I'm the Psychopath, fuck you in particular. I think that's really shit. However, the new jinx with the Golem means that the Psychopath can bluff as the Golem at least one time, and it's not so bad. They don't have to be publicly announced, which I think is an improvement, but here's the kicker. We played this, I was the Golem, the Psychopath talks to the Widow and goes, Keith's the Golem, I'm going to Golem punch Keith immediately. And the second denominations are open, I'm like, you guys are not gonna fucking believe this. I'm the real Golem. I'm being framed, and it was really rough. And then we had an atheist game where the Golem claimed to be the Psychopath, and Psychopath killed me, and they're like, no, wait, I'm the Golem, please, for the love of God, I'm not the Psychopath. I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to believe that? Which is really brutal. Really brutal. And so the times when it has happened to me, even with the Jinx, I'm like, this sucks. Me specifically has been victimized and had a bad time. And so I really want to love it. I really want to see it redeemed by the new Jinx because I think it's a great choice. I think it's a great way to make it more interactive. But I hate it. I'm a hater. I'm a Psychopath hater, unfortunately. Next is the Scarlet Woman. This is an interesting character because it's just such a nothing. On Trouble Brewing, it's just like, if there's a star pass, the Scarlet Woman catches it. If there's an unfortunate execution, the Scarlet Woman catches it, right? So really only the like execution thing is the value. It diminishes the imp a little bit, I think. However, on a lot of other scripts, the Scarlet Woman catching the demon is fine. Like, it's a good character to put on a script if you think that your good team players, if you think that your group is better at playing good team than evil team. It's not like a terrible choice, but it's not super interactive. It's like a nice backup plan, and knowing that you are the backup plan, I think is good. I think that's fine. So I think it's just a good character, but it itself is not uniquely fun and interesting. The value that comes from being the Scarlet Woman is if you become the demon, right? If you don't have an opportunity to become the demon, you just did nothing all game. You were just ready and waiting. You're like, put me in, coach, I'm ready. And it just never happens. So it's kind of a B tier character. Okay. Next is the Spy. We get ready for some more fucking spicy takes because I think the Spy is deeply underloved and underappreciated. Nearly every advanced script plays the Widow instead of the Spy. I think that is a mistake. I think the Spy deserves some consideration. I also think that the Spy doesn't belong in Trouble Brewing because it is too advanced of a character. And I think that because it's on Trouble Brewing, that people, when they're building custom scripts, don't consider Trouble Brewing characters as much. Because like, oh, I'm going to play fucking tutorial script characters and my cool custom thing. I want to play all the goofy advanced characters. And so the Spy really gets overlooked. I think it's a great character. I think on some really high information, like a lot of some of the townsfolk, that have come out in the experimentals and beyond. Some of the really strong info characters work really well into the Spy's plan. I think that it has value there. I also am waiting. I know it's going to happen one day, I believe, but I'm waiting for the Spy to get executed, register as a good player to the Cannibal, and the Cannibal just entering the Hell Dimension and just having the weirdest shit happen. Because the Spy registering as any townsfolk could give the Cannibal any townsfolk ability, in theory. But also, I'm pretty sure the Spy registering as a townsfolk and just still being the Spy and being eaten by a Cannibal, you show the Cannibal the whole grimoire. I played a game recently where I was a Cannibal, and the good team was just getting trampled. It was not close, and there was a Spy in the game. And I was genuinely like, if we executed the Spy and I was shown the whole grimoire, I still don't think that we could have won the game. But I'm like, hang on a minute, that's like both weirdly possible if like the Cannibal's poison, you can do whatever the hell you want to them, but also the Spy can just register as good, which is kind of funny. So I think that the Spy is underloved. I think you should think about the Spy more. Next is the Vizier, which unfortunately shares the same fate as the Psychopath. I did a whole video about underplayed and underloved characters, which include the Vizier, the Evil Twin, and a few other little guys. And no spoilers, nothing. But the Vizier I have seen on 0 custom scripts. This is a character that's never ever picked for anything. because I just think it just needs a redesign or something. It just doesn't quite get there. You don't have a choice as to whether you're a public minion or not. At the start of the game, so it's like this guy, this man is the Vizier, and you're like, okay. Hello everyone, I'm the evil minion, and then no one talks to you the entire game. The evil team can't talk to you because they look evil. The good team doesn't want to talk to you because they know you have nothing good to contribute. And so you're like, okay, I have decided to play Honkai Star Rail on my mobile phone during this game, and when it is nominations and executions time, I will hit auto battle, and then I will decide whether or not we're going to force through an execution or not. And it's a bit rough. It is a bit rough. Next is the Widow. This is another great. I think the Widow and the Spy, just either or, should be like on pretty much every custom script. They're both just great. The Widow, telling a player that the Widow is in play is fantastic. There's so much space to play around with this ability. And then picking out and poisoning someone. I think it's really interesting because there's a lot of characters that are like, who do I pick here? Like, who really is the best poisoning target? Sometimes it's the Shigenja because they are just placed in an inopportune way. Sometimes it's an empath for the same reason. But a lot of the time, it's like an each night character that you know is going to get a lot of good info. And I think it's just, you just put +1 really good info character in the bag, and then half of them are poisoned by the Widow. And the Widow, you know, sees the Grimoire once. Now, in person, the Widow is much less powerful. Online, you take a screenshot of that bitch and then write some notes, and it's a lot more powerful. So I don't know. I think both the Spy and the Widow are very good characters, especially for the evil team, because it interacts specifically with who's saying what and where the information is. The core of the Blood of the Clocktower experience, without specifically altering it or changing it too much, which I really like. I think that they are the quintessential minion, and you can see that our tier list is a little bit top heavy, but we're about to change that with the Witch. The Witch character is really interesting. A person nominating and dying and being like, this could really only be the Witch, or maybe the Tinker, probably not the Harpy, I don't like it so much. I don't like a minion being confirmed in play by mechanical reasons. I'm okay with the Fearmonger and the Organ Grinder. Because it's distanced. I know that's not explained very well, but it's more distanced. And the Widow ping is more distanced, because the Widow ping especially could be bluffed. The Fearmonger and the Organ Grinder cannot be bluffed, but... and then the Witch is like, okay, this guy has died, the nomination still goes through, and I think the penalty of the minion being confirmed and play being a death is kind of brutal, and it's just not... It's just like a better assassin, realistically. I honestly think it belongs in the same tier as the assassin. I think it's just like so close to doing what I want, really. I wish it was more gameable. Like it had, I don't know, redesigned slightly, but obviously because it's a sex and violence character, it's really unlikely to be redesigned at this point. I think it works fine, but I don't like that there isn't enough other characters that could activate in the same way for it not to be instantly confirmed to the Witch. I wish if it was like a 50-50. I don't like that the Tinker works fine, but like the Tinker's one specific guy, the Witch has to pick the Tinker. And for there to be something else that might kill you upon nomination, you know, that would make me a lot happier. But I think it's just okay. As the Witch, the gameplay is like pretty good, because you're like, okay, especially if you know your group really well, and you're like, this guy, he's a big nominator, he's always nominating, I'm gonna Witch curse him, and then, you know, you're going to get it. So I think this is kind of, I mean, this play group dependent. And then next we have our two recent release minions. These are both great characters. First, let's start with the Summoner, S tier, easy S tier. I had a game recently where I was the Summoner. Wow! And I went and talked to somebody on day 1, and they go, are you the summoner? I would like to be summoned. I'm like, no, but, you know, what demon would you like to be? And like, it's like really funny if I was turned into a Yagababble. I'm like, okay, sick, yeah, cool. Oh man, I wonder if I could pick what the word is. I would pick something really silly and funny. Wouldn't that be cool? And then I literally pick that person, turn them into the Yagababble. There you go. Oh, Keith has to be the summoner. My fucking Yagababble phrase is suit and tie. Great. How am I going to make this all come together? Which is really funny. I think that the summoner encourages like good chaos within the game. And it can be mechanically confirmable if there's like a no death on that first night. I think the summoner is great. I like it. And the next is the Zaan. I think the Zaan is an A tier character. The Zaan is really tough for a couple of reasons. The Zaan outside his X is just so difficult to reason. It gives so much space for the evil team to bluff outsiders and skew what the poison knight is. But if people have been given information that they're really confident is poison, they can go, well, it was knight 2, so there can only be 2 outsiders. Therefore, you know, one of the extra outsiders must be evil. Is really interesting, and I really like how that, you know, works and stuff. And like the minstrel, everyone being poisoned for one night, I do like that. It does have a nice bluff with the minstrel because they kind of do the same thing, except that the demon does not get poisoned. So it would be really interesting if we had like a Poe charge or something on the Zaan Knight. And go, oh, it's a minstrel. You know, I just think it has cool layers of play. But I think because we've played 4 or 5 Zaan games now on this channel, most of the time players really struggle to figure out if it is a Zaan Knight, and I think that's a bit tough. I think that is a bit tough. So I don't know. Zaan +1 would be like really interesting because you can mathematically determine what their possible Zaan Knights are. Because you go, oh, it's Zaan +1. If there's no other outside, like it's a 7-player game and there was nothing else that added extra outsiders, you know it's the first Knight Zaan Knight. If you go, okay, there's a balloonist. If the balloonist did add an outsider, then it could be a Zaan Knight 2 or whatever, Fangu, something like that. And then you can kind of mathematically figure out what the most likely option for the Zaan Knight is and use that to, you know, match with your information. Does this feel right? And then go from there. It just being outsiders X, outsiders could be 7. What the fuck? It's too much, man. It's really hard to figure out. And that's why it's not S tier. That's the only reason why it's not S tier. I think it's otherwise a very, very good minion. But that's the whole list. That is all of our minions released up to, you know, the 6th of January, the time of recording of this. I know it's going to be, you know, uploaded way, way later than this. I upload all my stuff well in advance. And so if something new has come out, I have not had a chance to have a look at it just yet. We didn't put the Wizard on here. I was supposed to put the Wizard on here. The Wizard came out like today. We haven't played it yet, which is why I didn't want to put it on the tier list just yet. But I have played with the Wizard in the past. The Wizard is similar to the Pit-Hag, where its greatness, or, you know, not greatness, is equitable to the imagination of the player. The best Wizard wish that I seen was the Wizard told the storyteller, I just want you to announce that just the most horrible Wizard wish you've ever heard of has been wished for. That's it. Just announce it. You don't have to actually do anything. Just tell everyone, like, man, this is really fucked, actually. And just the good team's morale was just plummeted. And they just really struggled to solve the game. They just thought it was impossible to win. They were just demoralized, and it was just really funny. The Wizard was like, I didn't do anything. I just scared you all a lot, actually, which is really funny. So, I think it's possibly an A tier minion, but we'll see. My opinion might change now that we get to play it more modernly, see what my group is like. We have some Wizard gameplay scheduled for later today, so we'll be recording some of that. And if you want to check that out, have a look on the screen. I will have the Blood on the Clocktower playlist, which has all of our games, and a lot of the homebrew stuff that I do, and a lot of the design discussion that I do, kind of like this. So check some of that out. And I'll also have a suggested video on the screen. It's a pretty good chance it's also going to be Blood on the Clocktower, but we do a lot of other stuff on this channel. I'm doing a Let's Play Ape Escape Trilogy playthrough, part of the Exile 2 playthrough, because that just released in December. And I do a lot of other game design kind of discussion videos. Like I did one, like why is there no freeze special condition in the Pokemon TCG, but there is in the VGC? A lot of these interesting conceptual videos await you here on the Cutlass Board Games channel, and if you wish, also the subscribe button is on screen. Maybe that's my wizard wish. My wizard wish is that you, loyal viewer who have been watching this video for 45 minutes, click the subscribe button. And then maybe when you see videos show up on your home feed, then that is the clue to the nature of the wizard's wish. Please, for the love of God, I'm trying so hard to help me. I had to find a way to work it in there somewhere. I'm doing my best here. I'm going to leave now. Goodbye.